quick tutorial for you on the album design project we're doing this week. So if you head over to Moodle, you'll see the project and you can see what we need to do. And if we start at the top with the specs, we're going to be making a new document in InDesign for print. It's going to be 10 inches by 10 inches square, and we're going to add a 0.125 inch bleed. So let's go ahead and boot up InDesign. And let's hit create new. And we can specify print. Over in the right hand panel, you're going to put your name and album design. For the unit of measure, we're going to do 10. Make sure it's on inches by 10. We can check off facing pages. So turn that off. We're not doing a booklet or a magazine or any kind of facing page spreads, so we don't need that. And let's scroll down to bleed and slug. If you don't see it, just toggle the little arrow down and let's click the bleed up 1 to 0.125. And remember, if you have this little chain linked, all the settings will be the same. And then let's go ahead and click create. So we see our page all set. Remember, at the top you can be sure your workspace is set to Essentials Classic, and that should give you most of the panels we're going to be needing to work with over in your panel corral. Remember, if you don't see a panel you need, it's up in the Apple InDesign menu under Window, and all the panels are listed here. So let's head back over to Moodle and see the next things on our list. So you're going to need 3 things for this album cover. You're going to need the band name, the album title, and a required image. And this is a fun project because it's just randomly chosen items from 3 websites. You're going to get your band name from Wikipedia. You're going to get your album title from a quotations page. And you're going to pick your required image from Flickr.com. And if you go to Moodle, you'll see the URLs of the places you need to visit to get your assets for this assignment. And I've already done that. So I went to wikipedia.org and just typed in special random. And the name of the article is going to be the name of your band. So I'm going to grab this name right here, and I'm just going to highlight it and hit Command Copy. And then I'm going to head right back over to my InDesign document. I'm going to grab my type tool, and I'm going to click and drag out a text box on my page. If you open up the page panel here, you can see we have 1 page in our document. And I'm going to go ahead and hit Command V or paste, and I can see the name right there of my band. I'm going to make it a little bigger just so I can kind of see it. Then I'm going to head back over to Google Chrome or the browser of your choice. And the next place we're going is to get that random quote. Let's see, for our album title. So you're going to go to the bottom of this random quote page, and the last 4 or 5 words of the last quote is going to be the title of your album. So I'm here, and the last few words of this quote, I'm going to grab the last 5 words, and mine are, "The ocean does not become dirty." So again, I'm going to highlight that, Command Copy, or Command C on your keyboard to copy it. And then back over to InDesign. I'm going to go ahead and grab my type tool again. I'm going to put it right in the same text box, or you can put it in a new one. It's just here for reference. So now I have the title of my album. So the last thing we need for this project, head back over to your browser, is going to be a required image. So this has to pick a number in your head. I chose 20. And then go to flickr.com explore. And then use your number to choose the image from that page. Try not to cheat. Just take whatever you get because, like I said in class, when you're working with clients, we don't get to choose the images. Luckily, I got a kind of a cool one. This is the image that came up for me. So if you're on flickr.com, there's this little arrow right in the bottom right of the Flickr image that you can click to download it. Okay, if you're having trouble downloading your image, it could be because the artist has prohibited downloading. If you run into that problem, you can take a screenshot of the image. And for a Mac, that's Command-Shift-4. And then you can just grab a screenshot of it and still use it. Or you can go ahead and choose a different number and pick a different image on Flickr. Okay, so I'm going to close that up and head back over to InDesign. So now I have my band name, my album name, and I'm going to go ahead and place the image in here. And as you recall, there are several different ways to do this. You can grab the image and just click and drag it into your page. And then go out to that bleed line and click, and holding the mouse button down, drag out so that it fills your page. I'm going to go ahead and slide this Pages panel back into my panel corral. So I have it in there still. I'm going to grab the edge of my document window and make it a little bit bigger. And then using the space bar, the command key, and the option or alt, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And then just holding the space bar, I can move this around to kind of the middle of my page so I have a good viewing area of my album cover. So right now we know we have an image, which is this brown highlighted picture inside of this image frame, which is the blue outline. And we can go ahead and grab that blue image frame, the window that we're working with, and if we grab an anchor point, these empty arrows on the corners of the frame in the middle, we can adjust the size of this image. So I'm going to move mine just so it goes right to the edge of the bleed on my album cover. That's pretty good. Remember, with nothing selected, you can hit W on your keyboard to give you a preview of your album. So now I know that my type is hiding behind this image. So to affect it, we have to select it. So if I select the image, I can go up to that very top Apple InDesign menu. And because we're working with an object, I can do Object, Arrange, Send to Back. Or I can right click and go to Arrange, Send to Back. And then right away I see my type come into the forefront. Remember, this is your document page, and when you hit your W, that's your print preview. That's what's going to be printing. This area outside of your document page is what I just like to call like the sketchboard for your document. You can like put things out here and they're not going to show up when you print, so it's kind of a nice area to just work with your different type or your different graphics. So I know I want these two type elements to be in separate type boxes so I can style them differently. So I'm going to go ahead and select my band name, and I'm going to Command X or Edit Cut, and I'm going to click and drag out a new text box and Command V or Edit Paste. So now I have the band name in its own separate box, which is good because I'm going to make that pretty prominent on my album cover. That should be the most prominent item on your page. If we're working with visual hierarchy, then the name of the band is pretty important. So I know I'm going to want that to be a lot bigger. So with my text tool selected, up at the top in the contextual menu, I have all my type controls. So I can just really increase that font size by using the up arrow. Or remember, you can just click inside and type in a value. Remember too, if you hit Command T, your character panel will come up and you can style your type using that as well. I've got a little too big. Remember, if your type's too big for your text frame, you'll see this little arrow, this little box in the right hand corner with a plus in it, a little red outline box. And that's just telling you, hey, there's more type in here that can fit, so you can grab the corner of your text box and stretch it out. So now you'll just start designing your album. And as you're doing this, you're going to be thinking about the things we've talked about. Contrast in type sizes, contrast in colors, a repetition of shapes, fonts, typography. Remember, for your swatches or your color palette, we talked a lot about using the eyedropper tool, maybe to sample a color within your document or within your image. That really helps with the unity of your layout. Mine's black and white, so there's not a lot of colors for me to sample. So think about your image, think about your band, think about your, what you're doing. And I'm thinking maybe like a grunge kind of font might be cool for this. So you can always scroll through your typefaces. Remember, if your text frame is selected, you can open up your fonts, and then you can just use your arrow key to kind of scroll down through your different fonts to see if maybe you can find something you have that you're thinking might make sense for your album cover. You can also head out to your browser, and if I wanted a grunge font, I would type in free grunge font. And there are a lot of resources out there for you to find fonts. Font Squirrel is one. There are some resources listed at the top of our Moodle class page that you can check out. So please do just go out and see what other fonts you can find that might be inspiring. When you see one you like, you should be able to download it. I think this one's cool. And then if you just open it up and double click it, it should be added to your font library. Install font. Beard Bone is the one I grabbed, so I'm going to try that here. Beard Bone. Seems cool. So remember your vector drawing tools. You can add elements to this page. And remember, they have a stroke and a fill. So if I want this red circle, remember too, your contextual menu at the top. There's an opacity slider up here, which could be kind of cool. Could be a way for you to get some other colors into your album. Please do go up to your InDesign menu at the top and explore some effects. There's drop shadow, feathering, lots of fun things you can try up here. Be sure you always click on your preview so you can kind of see what it is you're actually affecting. So this is really where you can just start designing and thinking about relationships between elements on your page. Be sure you're choosing fonts that are contrasting. That usually means a big font and a small font, a serif font or a script font, a sans serif font or a serif font. Be sure the legibility on your type is good. The ocean does not become dirty. So if my album cover is something about an ocean, maybe I want to add some kind of waves or some kind of ocean feel to my album. That would help visually communicate the idea of an ocean. Seems like it might be a good idea. So think about repetition. Whatever you do, you might be able to repeat it. Remember, you can select all of your elements and right click to group them. It's also under object, group, and ungroup. Then when you affect them, you can affect them all together. Object, effect, gradient feather. Might be a cool way to get a little feather going on that. There are sliders in many of these, so you can choose how far over your gradient might fall. So really this is the fun part, when you get to just start thinking about design and how can you visually communicate something. A lot of my students have gone back out to the URL to get a parental music warning label or something. I can't remember what it's called right now. Oh, parental advisory. So that's kind of fun. So you can always go out to, the World Wide Web and you can download one of these to use. Might be kind of fun. Save image as. You can just right click on it, save image as on the desktop, and then head back to your design. Command D to drop an image in and navigate to where you put that. Where did it go? If you can't find it, just look on your desktop or wherever you put it. So yeah, I appreciate any extra effort you guys make to make your album covers cool. Be sure you're thinking about contrast, repetition, page layout. Making things really big and really small, and trying to make things become dynamic or tell a story. Maybe your type is really huge and it, wraps around. And maybe this type should be a lot cooler. So go back to your type tool and you can scroll through with your downward arrow. We're visual people, so a lot of times we're not sure until we see something. We might have an idea of the feeling that we're trying to convey, but until you can see it happening, you're not sure. That's why iteration was a vocab word on our list. We have to try a lot of things to know what might work and what might not. Yeah, so I can't wait to see your album covers. If you have any questions, let me know.